by Amanda Chapman. She is the wife of Ashton, the judge I mentioned earlier from Idaho, who I stayed with.
That's
so
awesome.
she had just won a PTQ, and then they came home and celebrated, and then we rolled into town, and I blew them out in Modern Masters. Actually, there were 2 pods in the draft. Ashton won the other one, so judges were representing there.
You guys are taking after Rob. That's what you're doing. Rob put all the judges on the map.
I've always been a limited specialist, so I pride myself on knowing the archetypes and then being able to switch into them. So Modern Masters really suits me well, having so many diverse archetypes that people aren't as familiar with. I mean, there's no way in a Lorwyn draft that Thundermaw or a Thundercloud Shaman should table. Just under no circumstances.
I am with you.
And
Trust me.
people just forgot the power.
All right, so both players have rolled some dice. Going to take a look at our opening hands here, and we'll be underway shortly for you guys as John Mytinger on your right is going to be on the play. Let's see if he's happy, as Gerry's already kind of taking a look at his opening hand and seeing if he's happy.
How do you feel about that? Do you wait to look at your hand to not give away your reaction?
No, it's kind of situation dependent, honestly. I don't really know what I do. I like to say that I lean one way or the other, but I really don't. You know, there are some times where it's just like I want to get the show on the road, take a look at my opening hand. There are other times where I'm just like, I guess I'll wait for you. You know, so.
Should I go answer that judge call back there behind him? How fast do you think I can get over there? It's pretty far.
Yeah, we're on the other side of the room. I know you're pretty quick. I saw you. You went for a run earlier this morning, so you're good to go. You got your exercise.
What would be great is if we had the pickup mics, and we could just wander around, and I could go answer that while talking to you on a headset.
Hey, one day.
Yeah.
One day. It's all in the future, I'm sure. We're gonna have your on-field reporters out in the field.
Sheldon Menery, as it were.
Yeah. Talking to Gerry Thompson in his feature match. Gerry, what happened?
Gerry,
I got crushed. Okay,
Gerry, why'd you mulligan?
Yeah. Yeah. All right, back to you guys in the booth. One day.
And there we see Caitlin Lindbergh. She is not the content editor?
She's the copy editor.
Copy editor.
Yes.
Works with you on Star City Games.
She's my tag team partner.
Oh, John starting off with a breeding pool into what? Avacyn's Pilgrim?
Yeah.
Sure. F&M promo version.
Gerry's going to just play Godless Shrine. He drew Blasphemous Act for the turn. That's actually a pretty important card in this matchup because he has no other way to actually clear things off the board. Tragic Slip in this matchup is pretty mediocre. Same can be said about Orzhov Charm. So to be able to have a Blasphemous Act now, you know, depending on how the draw goes and what Gerry has and what John has, you know, that's actually pretty important.
Geist. Turn 2 Geist is big trouble.
So Gerry already underneath some pressure right now.
Yeah, you mentioned not very many ways to interact. The Tragic Slips, the best use is maybe to kill that turn 1 accelerator so that John can't get these turn 2 guys. Or you might need to save them for the Silver Blade Paladins to take away that double strike.
You see Thompson just has a Sacred Foundry and passes the turn back. So John's going to be able to get in for a healthy amount of damage here, and you see that he just drew an Unflinching Courage. So we're probably going to be in for a world of hurt here.
Also known as Armadillo Cloak for all you old school players like me. +2/+2, trample, lifelink.
Searchable via Tallowisp.
Oh, wow.
You're not the only old school one here in the booth, my friend, all right? I've seen many a Tallowisp search up an Armadillo Cloak and or Unflinching Courage.
All right, so John is going to tap 3. That is a Courageous Geist of St. Traft and its Rancor. So 6 power on the Geist and 4 power on that Angel.
You're looking at a 2-turn clock.
And he gets that token out. And the thing about the Angel token is that it's not going to help that Blasphemous Act get cheaper, because there it goes, it goes away. He puts it under his Geist to remind himself.
He wants to make sure he doesn't forget. I actually kind of like that. I've never seen anyone do that before, but I actually kind of like that. You want to make sure that you don't want to forget that Angel.
So this is a potential turn 4 victory here.
Yeah. Gerry with just a Lingering Souls, so not dead yet. You see, like, he's playing Lingering Souls because he wants to try to set up Blasphemous Act, you know, chump block the Angel, take 6 more on the face, and then be able to hopefully, you know, get to Blasphemous Act range.
Yeah, the Geist unfortunately has trample from 2 of those auras. And now it has double strike.
Yeah, now it has double. I don't know.
I don't think that's
he
too
can
much
win.
damage. You cannot soak up enough of that trample damage there, especially with the 4 from the Angel.
Yep.
And that's a turn 4 win, right?
That is
For
exactly
John.
turn 4.
In standard, attacking. Like I said, I love to attack. I don't know if this is actually my style of attack deck, but a lot of respect to John here for pulling off that turn 4 win.
I mean, this
with
is
the creatures.
Again, like this is a deck in Bant Hexproof that when it's good, it's insane, and when it's bad, it's kind of fumbling around and not even looking like a deck. So, you know, we see that game where you turn 1 Pilgrim, turn 2 Geist, turn 3 suited up, turn 4 you're dead. And when you have draws like that, like no other, like there's almost like no deck that can beat it.
But when you have 18 pump effects, almost a third of your deck, you could just end up with one of those draws where you draw too many pump effects. So let's see what's going to happen here with the sideboards. John, even with the convincing win in game 1, what options does he have?
So we got 3 Rootborn Defenses, 2 Selesnya Charms, 2 Spell Rupture, 2 Fog, 2 Nearhearth Pilgrim, and 4 Strangleroot Geist. Now Strangleroot Geist is one that is probably going to come in here. You know, I think that John has a pretty good idea of what he is up against. So as a result, you know, he's probably going to want to board those in. He can have these guys that actually do survive through a Blasphemous Act. As good as Silverblade Paladin was to actually be able to finish off the game, I still think he probably moves those out. Has 8 hexproof guys, 8 guys that kind of survive after Blasphemous Act, and then the 4 Pilgrims. Other than that, I mean, you could see Rootborn Defenses to try to blow out Blasphemous Act if he's able to leave the mana up. And then you could see Spell Rupture as a way to counter Blasphemous Act. So he's actually got quite a few options here.
I don't like the Rootborn Defenses on the draw.
Okay.
Because
that actually makes sense, yeah.
You want to get out in front and get some creatures down before you leave Rootborn Defenses up. And depending on Gerry's draw, if he gets out a Lingering Souls early, he can really power up that Blasphemous Act.
Now we take a look at Gerry's sideboard here. 3 Mark of Mutiny, 3 Profit Loss, 2 Appetite for Brains, 2 Obsidian Ghost Council, 2 Underworld Connections, 1 Cavern Souls, 2 War Leader's Helix. Typically when you look at a sideboard against Bant Hexproof, the cards you're looking for are cards like Devour Flesh, Great Revelation, Barter in Blood. Some people have even moved towards Gaze of the Granite. Of course, Gerry can't play that card. But, you know, those are the kind of cards that you actually look for here. Maybe even Liliana the Veil. Right. You don't see anything like that here. And that's kind of disconcerting.
You need non-targeted removal for these hexproof guys, and Gerry doesn't have any, so he's going to be leaning heavily on a Blasphemous Act draw to deal with those hexproof creatures.
You know, War Leader's Helix is the card that can kind of mess up the math. Same with Ozat Ghost Council, because it's ways for him to gain life, which he doesn't really have game 1 outside of Blood Artist. But, you know, like a card like Mark of Mutiny, not going to happen. You know, Profit Loss, not going to happen. Appetite for Brains, we got no targets in the main deck, and no targets in the sideboard. So that's not going to happen. Obsidian's okay, but again, we're looking at a 5 mana spell where Gerry just died on turn 4. Underworld Connections, I mean, you know, that card's sweet because it lets you draw cards, but what are you even trying to draw to? And it's costing you life points, and your life is super important in this matchup. So I don't think that this is a very good matchup for Gerry. I think it's super important for him to be able to, you know, maybe steal this game while he's on the play and then kind of hope for the best if he does even get to make it to a game 3. But this seems very tough for him if he doesn't draw a Blasphemous Act or just can't cast Blasphemous Act in time.
Yeah, we saw, I mean, we don't know what kind of hand he kept there in game 1 if he did not know what he was up against. Certainly a turn 3 Lingering Souls is kind of a generic, what you want to be doing.
Yes.
But just, he lost too quickly, so now that he knows, he's going to be looking for very specific hands that come out with early creatures. You know, he wants a turn 1 Doom Traveler, a turn 2 Blood Artist, or a Cartel Aristocrat, so he can power up that Blasphemous Act as soon as possible and clear out that first wave. And John, if he doesn't know about the Blasphemous Act, if he doesn't know what variant of the Aristocrats he's up against here, he may walk into that spell.
No.
And there it is. Gerry Thompson leads with the turn 1 Doom Traveler.
So John kept 7 again, and he just has his Temple Guard and says go. So he does not have as fast as a start this game as he did last one with the Avacyn's Pilgrim into one of those broken creatures in Geist of St. Traff, or Invisible Stalker. Gerry's got a Skirsack High Priest and attack with Doom Traveler, so good start.
This is exactly as he would want to script it. If he's got that turn 3 Sacrifice Outlet and a Cartel Aristocrat, this is what he wants to be doing. Establish board presence, get a demon out there, maybe finish this off. John has come out with 2 come into play tap lands, 2 shock lands, has no turn 2 play. Gerry is just going to attack for 2, take John to 17, but he's got a Boros Reckoner. And that'll stop most of John's creatures on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, he's on curve really well here. I mean, a 1-drop, a 2-drop, and a 3-drop, and now, you know, just the threat of Skursek High Priest is just looming over John's head for the entire game now. You know, depending on what creature he plays, like if Gerry has an Orzhov Charm or a Tragic Slip for the guy that he plays, he kills that, he makes a demon, and makes life difficult. And now John's going to tap some mana, and it looks like it's Silverblade Paladin. Yeah,
so no turn 1, no turn 2, turn 3 Silverblade Paladin. It seems like this is a hand that maybe should have been thrown back.
Yeah, especially when you're on the draw too. As John's Cavern does name human, so he can actually cast a Silverblade Paladin. But yeah, when you're on the draw, you have this kind of slow start. I know that the Aristocrat's Act 2 doesn't really come out of the gates all that fast, but it is capable of, you know, playing things on the opening turns of the game. And you see Gerry's done that this game.
And you still want to establish pressure. Just gonna get rid of that guy with Orzhov Charm.
And it looks like he's making a demon. It doesn't look like Gerry's attacking. Yeah, with the way he set up his board there. Makes much more sense just to make a demon. Orzhov Charm that thing. Put a 5/5 into play as they're going to search for a demon token to put onto the battlefield for you guys at home. But there is a 5/5 that's going to be out there in just a moment. And it'll just be Gerry's avatar for now. Gerry needs to win another invitational so he can make a 5/5.
5/5
Yeah.
demon token.
That's
We should talk about this after the game about what token you would make if you were an invitational.
We had this conversation in Roanoke.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got a good one for you.
All right.
Okay, so John in a bit of trouble here. He's got 3 lands. He's got a 4th in hand. He's going to think about his play. And I like this. Think about your play before you play your land, just to make sure, you know, if you have like a Temple Garden or a shock land and you're going to play a 3-drop, that you don't take 2 damage for no reason.
Yeah, there's certainly no rush.
And you don't want to give away any information about what's going on.
He's certainly in some trouble right now as it stands anyway, as he's going to play a Temple Garden untapped and move down to 15. But, you know, even though you're in some trouble, you can navigate your way out of the situation. Make sure that you do get it right.
Tap 3, Silverblade Paladin with Rancor or Ethereal Armor. There's Ethereal Armor.
This is going to make it a 3/2. Gerry draws a Falconwrath Aristocrat for the turn to go along with Boros Reckoner, Profit Loss, and Blood Artist. So we'll see how he wants to navigate this turn. He's certainly, again, ahead as far as board presence is concerned.
So, Gerry Thompson, he's got that 5/5 demon with flying. He's just going to take it to the air here, take a chunk out, leave his guys on defense.
He can send in with, he can send in with Reckoner to push 3 through because John can't block it.
Well, the Ethereal Armor gives first strike.
I mean, Gerry can just give his Reckoner first strike and win that way. And additionally, then there will be the Boros Reckoner trigger too that Gerry can just put upstairs to John's head. So you know, he's dealing damage and then killing the Paladin too. So I can't imagine that John ever blocks that. Also, like a guy would die, so then he's threatening a High Priest activation too. But Gerry's just going to play defensively, play another Reckoner, and say go. You know, you saw him take his time on that turn just because there are like a lot of different lines of play that he can make that turn. You know, there's even some merit to attacking with the Doom Traveler because if John blocks it and Gerry has a guy for a follow-up, he just gets to pump out another 5/5 demon. So, you know, there's definitely a lot of different, you know, avenues that Gerry could have taken that turn.
So again, John had turn 3 Silverblade Paladin, turn 4 Silverblade Paladin. Those aren't the greatest creatures to run out there one at a time. He really wanted to have a 1 or 2 drop to go along with those Silverblade Paladins.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if he did board in a card like Strangleroot Geist, the card that I did bring up during sideboarding. It doesn't mean, of course, that he has to bring it in, but you know, Silverblade Paladin does seem to be one of the weaker cards in the matchup. It did allow him to win game 1, but I think he would have won game 1 like on turn 5 instead of turn 4, for example, if he didn't have the Silverblade that turn. So, you know, it makes you wonder if maybe he just thought that, you know, it was so good game 1 where I don't really need to change very much, but you see how he's really slowed down drastically this game. Here's an unflinching courage.
Unflinching courage.
Okay, and a voice.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You got a 6/6 Silverblade Paladin there with those auras, with double strike and lifelink and trample. So it's a lifelink that's really valuable here because he's on 8 life, potentially gaining 12. When I say potentially, most likely gaining all 12 because of the trample.
Now the unique thing Gerry can do here is he can double block with both his Boros Reckoners.
Yeah.
John has to spread the damage, 3 and 3 to each guy, and then the Reckoner triggers are actually going to happen. And before the actual damage happens, he can kind of divvy up what he wants to do here.
So he could kill the Silverblade Paladin with both of those triggers before the regular damage, before the second strike. If he does double block there, I think John's best play is to deal all 6 of the first strike damage to the first Reckoner, so that he gets the second strike in.
He doesn't have to, because of trample, he doesn't have to split it 3 and 3?
No, he can choose to deal all 6 to the first Reckoner, and then he will get the opportunity to deal. Now we don't know what they're gesturing or saying, but so it looks like, based on the way both Boros Reckoners went away and Gerry targeted the Silverblade Paladin, we're not going to have the double strike. So only 6 life gained for John.
Gerry loses a bunch of Reckoners, but he's doing fine. The goal is to not die, right?
Sure. But that was a missed opportunity there from John to gain 6 extra life.
So Gerry drew his 4th land. He drew Dragon Skull Summon, and he could slam down Falkenrath Aristocrat and get in the air, but he's not going to do that. He's going to just attack for 5. We'll see, maybe okay, so he's going to play it post-combat. All right.
And he's gonna hold back and make another demon here.
This looks like this thing is on blocking duty.
And minorly relevant, the Doom Traveler is a human, so the Falkenrath Aristocrat is going to get a +1/+1 counter out of the deal.
There's a Geist Insane Trap. You see John's hand right now. He has a Ethereal Armor, which he's going to cast, and he just has another land in his hand.
But no flyers, so this is basically Scoop City. Yep.
Gerry sacrifices the Doom Traveler, gives us a Aristocrat +1. Going to make a demon token and just get in the air for the rest of it. So we're tied up.
Gerry pulled it off.
Yep.
He had the curve out, 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drop, and John really did not keep the greatest of hands. He had 2 Silverblade Paladins were his first 2 creatures, and he was able to start auraing them up, but was not really the aggressive start that a deck like this wants to have. Obviously you want to lead with Absence Pilgrim, but if not, you have to have one of the 2 drops, Voice or Invisible Stalker. If you don't have one of those 3 creatures, I feel like you have to throw it back. These 3 drops are too slow, especially Silverblade Paladin doesn't do anything on its own.
Yeah, it's certainly not the most threatening 3-drop in your deck, and also, the big thing there is, I think that hand is somewhat capable if you're on the play, but certainly not when you're on the draw.
Yeah, that is a consideration. So now John will be on the play.
I want to see if he's going to change anything, because it does not look like he's gone back to his sideboard. It looks like he's just shuffling happy, and Gerry is, going through his deck, taking a look at his 15.
Yeah.
Maybe he's going to change his configuration because he's on the play or on the draw. And this is the thing that, this is the thing that, is important to kind of note, is that games are much different when you're on the play or when you're on the draw.
Yes.
So it's important that you, want to at least consider changing your configuration of your deck depending on if you're on the play or if you're on the draw. I know that, you want to sideboard cards for a specific matchup, but your game plan changes drastically if you're on the play or if you're on the draw in certain matchups, and probably in a lot of matchups, honestly, when you're playing Magic.
Sure.
Quick date up for you guys on the back table. We have Chris Anderson, our latest Legacy champion, going to game number 3. And if we're able to cut over to that match for you guys, we certainly will. As Wilmary Cranderson, Elves aficionado, no longer
So he started with elves in Legacy, then switched to the enchantment deck, the Enchantress deck.
Yes.
But still using forests.
Yes.
And now no forests in his 75. He has betrayed the folk of the woods.
Yes. Real tough guy with his Jace the Mind Sculptors. Real tough guy.
And an update from the floor of the Origins Game Fair. I just saw Deadpool walk by. the Marvel quote-unquote superhero.
Yeah, so Ryan Reynolds in costume, maybe.
Yeah, that was a really different Deadpool than the comics.
You know, I actually liked that Deadpool. That movie was pretty bad. Okay.
Wolverine's
yeah, the origin story of Wolverine. That was like pretty bad, but I actually thought that like that Deadpool was pretty good, along with like the fighting scene he had at the beginning of the movie. And I thought that Lee Schreiber did a really nice job with Sabretooth. The rest of it, borderline unwatchable, but yeah. I liked those.
Are you excited about any of the other superhero movies coming up?
I am very excited about the new Wolverine movie. Like, very, very excited. I feel like they probably got this one right. And I expect it to actually be quite good. I've not seen Man of Steel yet. I was supposed to see it Thursday at midnight while I was in Roanoke, but I didn't because I'm old and I'm tired.
I cannot do those midnight shows anymore.
I don't know if I have it in me anymore. Our director's saying that it's awesome. I'm willing to believe that it's awesome.
No spoilers, Shoebox. No spoilers. If I see a spoiler on that teleprompter, I'm going to come over there and we're going to have a talk.
It's going to be stern.
And no spoilers on Twitter either. I don't know. What is there to spoil? Like, the trailer already showed General Zod. And I feel like that was something maybe you wanted to hold back.
If I can show Michael Shannon, I will. I'm a big fan of Michael Shannon. You see Jerry's going to take a mulligan down to 6 here. I'm really looking forward to it. Like the cast is good, the director's good, obviously. You know, this is part 1 of what's likely to be a 3-part series for a Superman movie. I can't imagine it's bad. I think a lot of people, because they're comic book fans, are going to be like hypercritical of the movie because they want it to be really good. But I can't imagine that it's going to be a bad movie.
And Superman is one of those characters that is hard to pull off because he's Superman. It's like, what do you do with this guy that's invincible? How do you make drama? And you can't just have kryptonite every time and be like, oh, he's weak now.
Yeah, it should be. I expect it to be good. I'm a big, as I said, I'm a big Michael Shannon fan. So I heard that he puts on a nice performance, and he always does put on a nice acting performance. So I am going to see it probably this week. And
me too.
I think it's going to be awesome.
As soon as I get home. So, from the back tables, we have Caleb Durward.
He's 2-0 so far. He was 2-0 coming into round 3, and Brad Nelson, he lost round 1. So Brad Nelson was 1-1 coming into this round. So there's some updates for you guys. As we see, Thompson has a Doom Traveler, Mytinger has an Absence Pilgrim. So they both have their 1-drops, and they're both off to a good start. Let's see if John is off to a great start, like he was in game 1.
Which 3-drop will it be? If it's Invisible Stalker, yeah, okay. Hallowed Fountain untapped, take 2. Certainly now it's a... No? 2-drop plus Aura, perhaps. Oh.
That's what it looks like. It's gotta be 2. It's gotta be 2-drop plus Aura, I think. Like, why would he? Would he just leave the green up and take 1? Okay, so he's got another Absence Pilgrim. His hand doesn't look great though, Ricky. You see his hand. He's got a Rootborn Defenses. He has an Unflinching Courage. It looks like he has another land. So it's, and you see now he's giving pause to if he actually wants to play that other creature, because if he plays it, he's kind of helping Gerry along towards Blasphemous Act.
But he did need to play the Hallowed Fountain there untapped to get the blue mana for Invisible Stalker.
Yes,
so
that had to happen.
So not necessarily a mistake, but it seems like he didn't think through his full range of options there. He second-guessed himself on the next Avacyn's Pilgrim. And Gerry loads up with Cartel Aristocrat, and here we go. A Courageous Invisible Stalker. It's going to deal 3 to Gerry. John's going to gain 3 life, and the game plan is now active. Now from this point forward, you said Rootborn Defenses is in hand. He can just hold that up and defend this Invisible Stalker. It's gaining him the life. What is Gerry going to do?
So now here's a Lingering Souls after Gerry attacks with the Cartel Aristocrat and the Doom Traveler. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 8 minus 6 is 2. So Blasphemous Act actually costs 3 right now. But John has Rootborn Defenses in his hand, and so this Blasphemous Act that Gerry is trying to set up could actually end up losing him the game instead of winning it.
Now, is John going to leave it up? He still hasn't seen the Blasphemous Act.
Yeah, I
Certainly
think it's safe to
you
assume.
can guess.
Yeah.
You can guess that it's there, but there's a big difference when you're in game between thinking about something that you have seen in the match and thinking about the metagame as a whole and what your opponent could be playing that you haven't seen. Human memory is a very fickle thing, and when you're in the heat of the moment, sometimes you don't remember things.
Is he actually going to put the Absence Pilgrim? Okay, so now he is going to cast the Absence Pilgrim. So this is interesting, because to me, this is John trying to induce a Blasphemous Act now. That's what this feels like, as Gerry draws a Cartel Aristocrat for the turn. It seems like he wants Gerry to cast Blasphemous Act so he can trap him with the Rootborn defenses.
Yeah. Gerry's going to think about it. He has to think about whether he's going to cast the act for one thing, and then what is he going to do with his creatures as well. So he's going to cast a Cartel Aristocrat. He could protect both his aristocrats from red.
Yep, that's what he's going to do. He's going to hold priority. Blasphemous Act cost 1 right now, because there are 8 other creatures in play. He's going to hold priority to the spell. Gives his 2 Cartel Aristocrats pro-red. Doom Traveler's going to die. There's your Spirit Token that does come back. But Gerry doesn't get any points of damage through. And so you see John saying, where'd that Spirit come from? Gerry says it's from the Doom Traveler. It dying. So here's the other thing, too. Is maybe Gerry had him red for Rootborn defenses, okay? Because now he has a backup Blasphemous Act, and there are 6 creatures in play.
He can still go for it.
Yeah, so he can still cast another one. And John draws, I don't think it's another Rootborn defenses.
Do you think he brought in the Spell Ruptures?
I think he would, but his hand right now is Sun Petal Grove and Hinterland Harbor, so he certainly doesn't have one. And if you're Gerry, like, you can't really play around another one, right? Like, you just have to go for it.
No, every turn you wait is another opportunity for John to draw another one, so he's only had the 1 extra draw step. But again, now, so there's only 6 creatures. He can protect, one of his Cartel Aristocrats after casting the Blasphemous Act. He goes into the tank here.
That is the definition of the tank right there. Head on hand. Difficult situation.
Head on Hawk. It'd be funny if we saw him like straighten out his mohawk to think. Like, does he need that extra brain power up in the tips of his hair?
You have to be, like, if you're Gerry, you have to be pretty scared right now too, because like I feel like, you know, what he's basically thinking is like, I probably have to cast this Blasphemous Act, but I really don't want to, because I'd like to get like another thing with it if I could. So maybe I play Falcon Wrath Aristocrat, but if he draws like some sort of something to like make his guy bigger, I'm in trouble. But how big can he make his guy? Because I'm at 7. And so there probably isn't a card in his deck that he can draw to lethal me the next turn.
So now he has the 4th land. He could attack. Okay, we're going that way.
So he's gonna go with Falcon Wrath Aristocrat and almost dare. He's gonna come across for 5 in the air, put John down to 16. He's gonna dare John to draw either Rootborn defenses or, you know, Spell Rupture. And John draws Silverblade Paladin, which is real close to lethal, but not enough.
Ooh. That is 1 damage short if he double strikes the Invisible Stalker. And the 2 Pilgrims aren't going to help because they can be blocked by the Cartel Aristocrats. So very, very close here.
So Gerry basically identified that he could not die this turn.
Yeah. And given how long Gerry went into the tank, would you have committed the Silverblade Paladin here to the board?
That's a good question.
Put him to 1.
Yeah, because putting him to 1, now Gerry, if he has Blasphemous Act, he has to cast it. Whereas maybe you could trap him last turn, you know, attack him, put him to 4, and then slam down Silverblade. But I think that Gerry was just decided he's just going to cast Blasphemous Act this turn, no matter what.
Sure, of course. And he calculated the damage, he calculated what the worst case scenarios might be, and this was one of them. I mean, double striking the Invisible Stalker was one of the worst case scenarios. So he cast Blasphemous Act, he's going to sack Cartel Aristocrat to Falconwrath Aristocrat to make it indestructible and give it a +1/+1 counter, and the Spirit token gets sacked to the other Cartel Aristocrat to give it Pro Red, and then here we go.
Now Gerry's thought right now is I have to get this game over with right now. You know,
Sure.
nothing else that can be done, because if John draws an Invisible Stalker,
It's lethal.
yeah, it's lethal because he's at 1. So he needs to get this game over with as soon as possible. John draws a Rancor. That's a brick. He has to pass the turn back, and now Gerry gets to get in for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I don't know if John has a draw now to get him out of this.
And that Silverblade Paladin, if he had held that back, he could Rancor it up and at least threaten this turn. But instead, Gerry has free reign, and he takes the match.
So Gerry Thompson is going to win the match 2-1 over John Mytinger. He's going to move on to 3-0, and the Aristocrats Act number 2 is moving
3.
along. Yes.
I would love it if the Aristocrats made it to 5 acts, like a classic Shakespearean play, right? Is it 4 acts? It's been a while. I believe it's 5.
I would defer to you, my friend. I slept through English class. Don't do that.
Maybe
For
it was
those of
4.
you at home. I'm not quite sure how many acts are in a Shakespearean play. Maybe somebody on Twitter knows. They can tweet at us and let us know.
Maybe they do.
I apologize, Mrs. Mahaney, if you're watching at home. That was my senior English teacher when I was in high school.
I should apologize to Mrs. Ballard.
Oh,
I actually had her all 3 years of high school English.